Good morning, dear colleagues. It's nice pleasure to see you all here. Today we will have a discussion, very important discussion in the beautiful Turkish pavilion. And we will talk about the practice, the good practice on the land to combat the desertification and land degradation. Of course, this topic is very important, and many countries is suffering from the land degradation, from the desertification, and we need to always be focused on the topic. Colleagues, I would like to say that this year in Azerbaijan, in Baku, we held COP29. And even though the main topic was the climate change, and we had a very successful results there. But of course, as a result of the climate change, land degradation and drought, and the desertification was the most focused, one of the most topics for us in the COP29. And the good things we have there. We focused on the adaptation issues, because if we are talking about the climate change, if we are talking about desertification, we need to understand that adaptation is the important. Therefore, we pushed all the negotiators, all the countries, to function loss and damage fund, so that we can have at least some reason to combat the climate change effects, and also as its results the desertification and drought. Today we have the panelists here, our distinguished colleagues from different countries. Of course, later on they will talk about the practices, the good practices, that how we can combat desertification and land degradation. The practice is very important. Of course, there is several options. That the good practice can be on the applying the modern technology, and good practice can be applying the nature-based solution to combat desertification and land degradation and drought. We have actually the countries, vulnerable countries, that they are already suffering. They need to. Of course, we need to mitigation actions as well. But somehow it's not possible, and they need to adapt the process. For adapting the ongoing process, ongoing change, the practice is very important. With that, I would like to invite our panelists here. Dr. Raja Ömer first, and he is presently engaging with the National Center for Vegetation Development and Combating Desertification as an advisor on vegetation, particularly forest and rangeland. He holds a PhD degree in plant science with a specific focus on the vegetation ecology from University of Aberdeen, UK, and master's degree in forestry. And our second panelist is Professor Selma Landova. I would like to invite Ms. Landova. She is an associate research professor at the University of Namibia with over 20 years of experience. Her research focuses on the community-based natural resources management, emphasizing community-led initiatives in land management, conservation, and social dynamics. And our next panelist is Mr. Furkan Keskin. Mr. Keskin is the meteorological engineer at the Directorate of the Climate Change Ministry of Environment, Urbanizations and the Climate Change of the Republic of TÜRKİYE, with expertise in climate change adaptation, climate models and hydrological modeling. He contributes to development and implementation of the TÜRKİYE's 2024-2030 climate change adaptation strategy and action plan. We have one more panelist, actually. I think he will be I hope he will be here later on, because he is in another meeting, and meeting is a bit prolonging. But we will start our discussion. First, I would like to start with Dr. Raja Ömer to hear his thoughts and what kind of practices, good practices, Pakistan has already done, and if there are other questions from the, you can take the floor later on. Please, Mr. Ömer, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, and Assalamu alaikum to all. Good morning. I will be talking more on the best practices that have come up on land degradation and desertification in Pakistan. Some of the initiatives. All right. It's fine with me. I mean, it used to, I think it has started working now.
Yes, now we can go on.
So I will briefly touch upon the overall land profile of Pakistan. What are the main causes of degradation? What are the key driving forces that are causing our land degradation, and the key hotspots that we have in the country where we are focusing on? Then we have got our land degradation neutrality targets as well, and some of the key response measures that Pakistan is implementing or has implemented in the recent past. Basically, Pakistan has about 80% of the land area as arid to semi-arid, and out of the 220 million population, about 58% of the population resides in these dry land areas. We have got a very small forest cover of 5.4%, whereas the major land use is that of the rangelands, which is 60%, and out of that 40% is in degraded form. So if we look at the key causes of land degradation, then because of an extensive river system, we have got the water erosion and the salinity problem and waterlogging problem. They are the key factors that are causing the land degradation. Secondly, we have got about 20% of the land area that has got deserts. So that is the cause for the wind erosion as well. So just a few glimpses of what kind of, the soil erosion we are facing due to the mismanagement of water resources, floods. They cause a lot of degradation in our downstream countries. They may cause human loss as well as the property loss. Secondly, the use of natural resources, unplanned use of rangelands. Then we have got over exploitation of forests that has led to deforestation, overgrazing, unsustainable grazing. These are few of the causes. So if we look at the whole of the Pakistan, then there are three hot spots. On the right hand side, we have got the Sindh province, which has got a very extensive desert area. That is one of the major areas that is affected. On the left hand side, close to the Iranian border, we have got the Balochistan province, that is a dryland area with less than 50 millimeters of rainfall. And in a portion of the north where we have an extensive river system, we are facing the water erosion problem. So to begin with, we formulated our land degradation neutrality targets, looking at our productivity and soil organic carbon and all these factors. We thought that what we can achieve up to 2030 is that we can work on our degraded forests. Then our agriculture crop productivity can be enhanced, and we can also improve upon our rangelands because 40% is degraded out of the total land area of the rangelands. Then we have got wetlands. Because of the river system, because of the our streams that come across into the river system, we have got extensive wetlands as well. So probably they can be revived. Just to support these actions, the mitigation actions, we have got the adaptation actions as well, like conversion of forest to other resources, land use change, preventing the water misuse, unsustainable grazing. These were all the enablers that we can put across to support the mitigation efforts. So I will talk about the major initiatives that we have taken over since 2015 to 18. One of the biggest projects that has been successfully completed is the billion tree afforestation project in the north of the country. We selected all those areas that had slightly better rainfall potential in the beginning. So we have recovered or regenerated about 600,000 hectares in about 5 years' time. Then we moved on to more difficult areas, and we have got a long-term program, the Green Pakistan program, that is focusing on rehabilitating 3.29 billion hectares plants, and about 1 million hectare. It's a long-term program extending over about 10 years framework to begin with. So we have achieved the natural regeneration as well as plantation of 2 billion plants over the past 4-5 years time. Then in align to the CBD, we have got our protected areas initiative as well, which intends to increase the protected area up to 30% by 2030. So up till now we have achieved the 16% target of our protected areas. We are focusing more on the marine protected areas as well, besides the terrestrial areas. Then we have got the climate smart agriculture program to improve upon the efficiency of our irrigation systems. So we expect that we can have 40% improvement in our irrigation system, because we have got 21 canal systems, one of the biggest in the world, along the river Indus. So we need to improve upon the efficiency of use of those canal irrigation systems to support agriculture productivity enhancement and bringing more area under productivity. Recently we have started the Recharge Pakistan program, which builds on Pakistan's efforts to go for ecosystem based adaptation to harness the potential of the flood water, because if we go on for mechanical means of doing it, which were not there a few decades back, it cannot solve our problem. So we are trying to revive our old wetlands to divert the water towards those wetlands and increase our recharge subsoil water, as well as use it for irrigation purposes. Then we are also preparing our national drought plan, which is still in the preparatory state, but the focus is on all types of droughts that we have, the hydrological, ecological, environmental. We are focusing on all of them. We have already completed, developed our forest management project, which has got a potential to improve or rehabilitate 67,000 hectares in future. And an extensive program on sustainable land management has been completed, which focused on rehabilitating all the causes of degradation that were mentioned in the beginning, like salinity, wind erosion, soil erosion factors. So a few of the glimpses of what we have achieved under this. I mean, the natural regeneration in the dryland areas is through dryland afforestation. So we have got, I mean, different models that we have tried, the contour trenches and plantation of natural vegetation. Then we have got the wind erosion control projects with the small plants and as well as long big trees. Rangeland rehabilitation is also going on in those areas where we have the potential of rainfall to support it. Grazing management plans are also being created. We are also going for low delta agri crops that can support or are resilient to the local climatic conditions. Then we have got small ecosystem based water conservation or water conservation measures that we have taken, not only for humans but for livestock as well as for recharging the subsoil water. And this is one of the example of our soil erosion control measure before and after. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Raja Ömer. I think Pakistan has done a lot. Congratulations for that. So, before opening the floor for the questions, I would like to ask two questions to our Pakistani colleagues. First of all, do you have the long-term plans for the mentioned problems? And my second question is what is the main legislation of the Pakistan for combating desertification, especially, and drought?
Well, besides the LDN targets that we have also, I mean, in the phase of revising our existing LDN targets to make it a long-term one, thinking beyond 2030, because 2030 is quite near and land needs a lot of time frame to recover. It's not a short-term investment or a time frame that you can invest in. Secondly, we have got our environment policy, we have got our forest policy at the national level, supported at the subnational level by all subnational entities. So they are also, I mean, fully acquainted with the kind of support that is required. We have got this Green Pakistan program extends at the moment in its second phase up to 2029, but we are thinking of taking it beyond that, because see, it's a learning process. First we did a 5 years pilot in one of the areas which was quite successful, the billion tree afforestation program. Then we went in for 8 to 10 years program. We are learning from that as well, and now from the easier areas we are going towards the more difficult areas which need more effort as well as resources. So we have to plan accordingly. And lastly, which I think our experience is that resilience against climate change, against the natural conditions, anthropogenic factors, they are essential. Without that, we have seen the success doesn't come. If we do a plantation on 1 hectare or 10 hectares extensively, with high density success, then how far we can sustain that over the next years to come. So this we have learned, that you have to proceed gradually and sustainably to take the initiative forward. So as far as the laws are concerned, every subnational entity has got its own laws. The environmental laws, the forest laws, as well as water management laws. So the legal framework is also there, because most of these natural resources are being managed practically on the ground at the subnational level. The national level does the coordination at the central level among all these and put across programs to support from the national as well as from the international agencies. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this explanation. I would like to open the floor if any question to Dr. Raja Ömer. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I think I saw the number about your billion tree project, 600,000, I think, hectares. That's a very huge area, and I think it means about 600 million tree. Did you reach that goal, and what is it its cost, and how did you finance it?
Well, it was about, I would say, that we completed it in 5 years' time. That was our first experience. The area that we selected has had the highest rainfall in the country, about above 1000 millimeters average annual rainfall. So this area was only had degraded because of anthropogenic factors or local extensive use of the forest. So we did the rehabilitation of the natural plants as well as supplemented it with plantation. So both these things are counted in there. This is one thing. The resources, as you are talking about, in the first phase we have not taken any resources from any international agency. It is all indigenous resources at the subnational level. So it cost us about, I think, if I'm not mistaken, at that time, $21 million or so. So it was a huge investment, probably one of the biggest at that time when we were doing it in the Southeast Asian region. So that gave us a bit of encouragement. It also encouraged other subnational entities as well as at the federation level to come up with a large scale program. So then we started off with the 10 billion program, or we call it the Green Pakistan program, I mean, to give a national sort of outlook. So that project is still continuing from its indigenous, from our own resources. We have faced problems, there is no doubt in that. Sometimes we get the resources, sometimes we have to fall back upon just the maintenance, because maintenance is a more critical part than just the planting. So at times we have to revise our targets to slash it down. We couldn't achieve the things that we wanted to do, but alhamdulillah, it is coming along and we are making progress.
Thank you very much for the presentations and the very comprehensive explanations. I think, as I mentioned before, Pakistan has done a lot, and we will see the later on the success and progress from our Pakistani brothers and sisters. Colleagues, I will say that right now we are on the negotiations in the parallel rooms in the different topics. One of the tough topic is drought. And African colleagues, African brothers and sisters, they are really trying to be heard their voice, and they are giving the cases. It's which is we need to care about that. The Africa is the one of the vulnerable the region, and our some African countries is facing very serious desertification and drought problems in the region. With this, I would like to invite our esteemed colleague, Professor Selma Landlovo, to express her views and the practices, what is happening in the region, in Africa, and especially in the Namibia. Please, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, colleagues. I've been introduced. I'm going to present some experiences, best practices from Namibia. And I think I'm just going to take from the previous speaker and give a case study. As being from the university, I'm going to give a short research that we have been doing over in the past 2 years to respond to the issue of action-related research. So just a little bit of site that we have been working on. That's the map of Namibia, about 840,000 square kilometers with only a population of 3 million people, making it one of the least populated countries in the world. Also characterized by severe aridity and low rainfall, especially in the area. The country itself has a maximum of about 600 millimeters, but the area that we are focusing on that is circled is receive less than 300 millimeter per year. This is really a climate sensitive ecosystem and mostly affected by recurrent droughts. If you look at the part that is brown, oranges to yellow, that shows severe aridity. And we are saying that that line is by 2065 is likely to increase if no measures continues, has not been taken. In that area where I circled off is occupied by the people that we call the Himba people. They are traditionally livestock farmers and have history of keeping large livestock, and because of the dryness of the country, of the area, have been practicing transhumance, which means moving long distances to access water resources. There is very limited arable agriculture because of the low rainfall, and they have other livelihoods such as wildlife protection. This area might be very dry, but it supports quite a large number of diverse wildlife species. So communities, there is a law in Namibia that allows rural communities to engage in community-based wildlife management, and that is one of the livelihoods that the communities depend on. Also, the issue of cultural and ecotourism is quite rich in this area. And since this area is mainly having shrubs and some trees, there are some non-timber forest products that the people depend on. I have already indicated the issue of low population density, but what is critical to mention is the high prevalence of poverty in this specific region. So the study that we did was really the ecosystem-based adaptation, looking at ecological restoration in a deserted area. So we, in sort of the participation of communities in starting this project, whereby we had participatory mapping with the communities to understand degraded areas and to also prioritize the areas that we could start sort of the pilot. And again, we thought that in order for us to make this area green, we will use the local seeds. So my colleague that I did the study with, she is an expert in analyzing these seeds, preparing these seeds, and community themselves were able to collect these seeds, and we were able to sort of sort these seeds based on the different species that are found within that area. So in February, starting 2023, we started off this trial, this experiment in that specific region. There was quite a number of things that we needed to do. Identify the plot, fence of the plot, because this place, there's a lot of livestock, and so we needed to keep the livestock out. Preparing the ground, and we had those seedlings from the locally sourced vegetation, and that is basically just to prepare the ground. Now, what we realize is this area does not have water. So water is the most limiting factor in Namibia. So during this experiment, we drilled 2 boreholes within the communities. This was one of the core aspects that came out of the discussions, that if you have to do anything in this community, you need to supply water. So we drilled 2 boreholes, and we did some water ponds, and we found out that these water ponds were actually quite very not only to provide water to the communities for their activities, for their livestock, but it was also regenerating the area. And so we decided not only to plant, but also to have some water ponds around to stimulate vegetation growth. So this is just an example of how the forests, or the little, we call it mini forest, have been emerging over the year. Very, very impressive indeed. You could see where it started from May 2023, when we transferred the seedlings, and then it has been really growing, and by this year we had quite a good mini forest in the area. So basically, in conclusion, what we are saying is that this is ongoing research. It has started at a very small scale, but it is quite critical that we do continuous monitoring and support, which is crucial for sustainability. Now, this specific project, we call it action-related research, meaning that we involved local communities from the beginning. And this, for me, was not only a matter of doing something with the communities, helping communities to green their area, but also building capacity. And I think the capacity is what we need. Once you capacitate people to understand the importance of greening, I think it also assists communities to ensure that they do not degrade their area to the level that it becomes totally bare. Because when we came in this area, there were areas where you won't even see vegetation. So we also not only did this community initiative, but we also tried to make sure that people take these seedlings and go and green their own farms. Most indigenous plants are good for soil cover, but also good for forage. So we thought that bringing in other plants might not be an advantage, because people do not have the understanding of what their livestock can forage on. But when you take the indigenous plants, it enables communities to know immediately what is good for my goats, what is good for my sheep, what is good for my livestock. So as researchers, we are definitely going to scale this up, but also to ensure that this study is published. So I just indicated to you that the water was very, very core. I think if there is one biggest success of this project is by bringing water close to people, because women were traveling long distances just for them to get water. Also, the other aspect, if we look into that picture, is this area, as I said in the beginning, that there is limited arable agriculture. But through this initiative, we were able to work with communities to grow their own food. And of course, we did realize the gender differentiated activities, because when we were doing the plantation of the forest species, men were more involved, and when we brought on the agricultural part, we could see women getting involved, and that was quite a great part of it. It is possible to green drylands and combat desertification. Now, desertification in this specific area is quite serious, and it's a critical matter, because most part of these areas already are irreversible. It's impossible to plant anything because over the years degradation has really caused damage to the quality of the soil and to the quality of the landscape, and as a result, these are initiatives that we will continue to support, and we will continue to ensure that we work closely with our government, the Republic of Namibia, because the government has initiatives to ensure that we continue to promote afforestation and ecological restoration for the purpose of landscape restoration, but also for the purpose of improving the agriculture and livelihoods of the local communities. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor, for the presentations. Even though there is less opportunity, because I have been in Africa 3 times and I have seen the situation there, and how the serious the situation there. But even there is less opportunities, you are doing great job, especially in Namibia and in other African countries as well. Now I would like to open the floor. If any questions, please.
Hello. Sorry. Whoa, that's really loud. Okay, hi. My name's Aziza. I'm with UNDP. I've worked on some of these issues way back in the day when I was with UNICEF. So I was with UNICEF India Country Office, doing a monitoring evaluation project on drought-affected villages in Rajasthan. So specifically, like 6 hours. 6 hours into the desert in Jodhpur. Anyway, so my question for you is, what are the reasons that we see kind of delayed legislation to address these issues, to facilitate a more effective, land use, a more effective management of our water resources? So that's question number 1. And well, I'm the only person who raised their hand, so I'll ask too. So, when we're talking about these issues, gender. So, one of the problems we encountered in India was when we were trying to distribute food and distribute water, did it to the men, then did not reach the family. So the only time the resources were actually distributed to the family, the whole family, the community,